right, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today, we're going back to your favorite topic that everyone's watching, that wants to watch, recruiting. Brandon, do you have anything to say for everyone that did not watch our last
Just
episode?
really, no, I mean, I really appreciate all the love we got in the last episode. It was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kidding. It was boring. I agree. We're hurting to find content right now, as you guys can tell. But I mean, as Bram mentioned, we're going back to our bread and butter, Oklahoma football. But it's been hard. It's been hard out here.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, so we're going to be talking some recruiting today. We're going to be talking a recruiting rumor involving Jaquez Petaway. We're going to be talking a little Peyton Bowen. Is he ever going to announce his commitment? And then we're going to talk, probably not. And then we're going to talk some facility upgrades for football and softball. But before we get into it, just want to say we appreciate it. We've been growing. We're kind of at a plateau right now. We're like 60 subscribers away from 5K. Help us get there before football kicks off next Saturday. Hit the subscribe button. I know over half of you do not subscribe to us. It's easy. It's free. Turn the notification bell. Like the video. Stay around for Brandon's end of video challenge because we're going to be giving away 2 more tickets to the home opener. We already gave away a pair of tickets during our live stream, and that winner has already received their tickets. So if you like some free tickets or a chance to win some free tickets, be sure to stay around for the end of the video challenge and do that. And in order for you to be entered, you have to do the end of video challenge, subscribe to the channel, have notifications turned on, and then go on to Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, at least one of them, follow us on there or like us on Facebook, and then comment that you've done that and then do the end video challenge as well. So be sure to do that. If you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, hit the like button, or I guess not the like button, follow the channel, leave us a review on there. It helps us out a lot, and we'll get into it today. So Anthony Evans, there's a couple guys that are going to be announcing their commitments today as you're watching this. Anthony Evans is one of them. Anthony Evans, we've talked about him at length on this show. Obviously, a guy that is a burner, a wide receiver that can absolutely fly down the field and take a top off the defense. He's a 2023 4-star, number 350 overall, and number 45 wide receiver in the class, 5'11", 170 pounds from Converse, Texas. On our update on Monday's video, we talked about that it seemed like Evans was trending away. And some crystal balls came in favor of Georgia because this has been a 2-team race between Georgia and Oklahoma. And Oklahoma seemed to have started to not be in favor. And it's basically because of Cale Gundy being gone and Cale Gundy being his primary recruiter. And what we said was that it seemed like he was going to be going to Georgia, committing to Georgia. And while that still might be true, it seems like Oklahoma is still in this to some degree. Parker Thune still has a crystal ball in favor of Oklahoma in this recruitment. And I believe I saw somewhere, and I might be totally wrong and someone could correct me, but I believe I saw that Parker Thune went on a radio local in the Oklahoma City area that he will not change his crystal ball in favor of Georgia because he does think that Evans will be a Sooner. And I might be totally wrong. So if someone heard that, let me know. But I believe that's what I saw and read. Brandon Drum and Steve Wiltfong have it in favor of Georgia. I think Drum's at like a 5.
Have you checked the 24/7 website to see if Parker Thune has changed his crystal ball?
He has not changed it.
Okay, we'll just rock with that then. Yeah.
Yeah, he has not changed it. So I believe what I'm saying, the quote is right. I just didn't personally hear the quote. So, but his crystal ball is still favored Oklahoma. It seems like Oklahoma's putting an all press, full court press on him. 24 hours as we're recording this, 24 hours before his recruitment or before his commitment, and it seems like that Lebby, Washington, and Venables are going after him hard because they probably know at the end of the day it's going to be tough to get another wide receiver out of high school in this class, considering how kind of late they are in the cycle and how many kids are already committed elsewhere. So they're trying their best to, right the ship. It seemed like that this was all but in the bag for Oklahoma before the Cale Gundy incident and has since been trending elsewhere. It seems like Oklahoma's still in it. I think when there's smoke, there's fire, and part of me thinks it's still, as we're recording this, probably going to be Georgia. I wouldn't get my hopes up too terribly high, but, I'm not 100% sure. What do you think, Brandon?
I mean, I agree. I'm not going to backtrack now. We said it on our live stream Monday. It's kind of unfortunate, the Cale Gundy thing. This is like the very first the first person that it appears as if we're going to lose out on because of the Cale Gundy resignation, which it does suck. I mean, Anthony Evans is like he's a lesser version of Jaquez Petaway, I think is how I described him on the live stream, and I stand by that. He's a very dynamic player. He's just not as dynamic as Jaquez. He can do similar things to Jaquez, just not at Jaquez level, I think. So he would have been, or he still could be, I guess. I'm not going to say that later on today he won't make the commitment to Oklahoma. I just don't see it. I'm not going to backtrack. I agree. I think Georgia, as you said on the live stream, is unfortunately going to do it, end up with him. And I'm just two crystal balls in favor of one. It's kind of like the only argument I have, I guess. Steve Wilfong and Brandon Drum are still rocking with Georgia. But I will say, for Oklahoma's sake, it's good because I imagine Parker Thune being 50 for 50 would like to stay perfect. So the fact that he hasn't changed must mean he feels pretty good, obviously. So I guess we'll see it. It could be interesting, but I guess if I were to bet on it, I'd lock it. I'd lock Georgia.
Shout out Parker Thune for respecting the integrity of the crystal ball. You don't get to just change it 30 seconds before the guy commits to stay perfect. So I appreciate that from him. I wouldn't expect anything less from the staff. It would be pretty dumb if they just said, you know what, we heard you're going to go to Georgia. We're just going to quit on recruiting you. We're going to move on. Good luck being a dog. Maybe we'll see you in the transfer portal someday. Not that they would say those exact words, but it wouldn't make sense for them to stop. So it's as expected. They're doing everything they can to try to sway him towards Oklahoma. Will that make it so that he does make the decision to go to OU? It doesn't seem likely. When I like you said, it seems like the crystal balls, you kind of have to trust them. And as much as I may not be a Wilt Fong fan, he does get it. He does, once he submits his, they're usually right. Very, very rarely is he wrong. So, and unless something changes, which again, I hope it doesn't, if you're going to put one in, then you just got to ride with it. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. And if you're right, you're right. But Anthony Evans seems to be going to Georgia, which, personally, I don't think that's the smartest idea. Georgia doesn't produce the best offensive weapons, but to each their own, I guess.
And even if he does pick Georgia, part of me still wonders, it's still a long time before the National Signing Day, before they actually put their name to paper and sign that letter of intent. And while Oklahoma might offer some other wide receivers, it doesn't mean that Oklahoma's going to stop recruiting him, because obviously they want him. They're putting their effort in and are obviously showing that he's a priority for Oklahoma. So just because if he does commit to Georgia, I don't necessarily think the ship has sailed, but unless Evans just ignores him. But I don't know, if you're so torn between two schools, it'd probably be pretty hard to just completely turn it off on the other one. So
why not go chase Micah Tease if he does end up at Georgia?
Oh, I agree. Micah Tease, Michael Harrison Pilot. Harrison Pilot, in my opinion, might even be easier, but Tease also has the connection with the family playing at Oklahoma. So I think Oklahoma gets another high school wide receiver in this class, but at the end of the day, I guess nothing's guaranteed, but it seems like they've at least got a shot. There's a chance tomorrow that you'll see Anthony Evans commit to Oklahoma. Now, if you see Parker Thune at the last minute change, in the morning, change his crystal ball in favor of Georgia, it's all but over. But as of right now, Parker. Yeah, don't change it. It's okay if you go 51 for 52 or whatever it is, and just go with it. Moving on to some better news. We've talked about him at length. Makari Vickers, he's also announcing his commitment at halftime of his first home game, high school senior season. OU, Alabama, Michigan. OU seems to be the clear-cut favorite. Visited for the end of July, the party in the Palace in, just about a month ago. We assume he's one of the locks. I haven't really seen a whole lot. He's the number 6 safety in the class. Huge get. We've talked about him a ton. I know Jose has a lot to add here.
Oh, yeah. Big fan. I think, like we've said the last 80 times we've talked about this guy, it seems like he's going to Oklahoma. I do believe he's one of the 5 locks that was tweeted out at the end of July. So what is that? 3 3 that we've accounted for, 2 more to go. Seems like the next one would be Jordan Renaud, and then potentially DJ Hicks. That one's still a ways away, but who knows? There's still a lot of recruitment left for this 2023 class. It's nowhere near done. But yeah, Makari, it is. Didn't you guys see that he's starting to slide down in the composite rankings, correct? So
no, he slid on 24/7. I think 24/7 had him in their top 100. Now he's 117 for them, but composite 85 because they switched it around and it looks funky now.
Yeah, okay, so that got me. But yeah, I mean, he's still a good player. Time. Even if he's not a top 100, according to one site, he is. When you look at the composite, he's still a top 100 player. And at the end of the day, even if he's number 101, he's still a very talented player that's going to add a lot to the defensive back room, especially if he does play safety for Oklahoma, which is a position of need for moving forward once he does get on campus.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player, two-way player, as we talked about. Another guy that it appears we're going to be landing from the state of Florida. He joins Jacoby Johnson as the second top 90 composite, rated player in this month in that defensive back area. So that's always fun too. It seems like Jay Valai and the boys have been Brandon Hall, putting in work there to land in 2 really, really good players. Again, we're saying this and watching Makari Vickers choose Alabama tomorrow and just shock everybody, or today. But I mean, I'd be shocked if he does. I think it's 2 huge gets for OU if everything goes to plan. Excited about him. We've talked about him a lot. We're all excited to have him.
Yep, and he's definitely needed if OU's going to have a top 3 recruiting class. Getting a composite top 100 player is a big addition in the class, no matter the position. Moving on to another defensive back that we've talked about a lot, and for this matter, I mean, even Ryan Yates, but this one's going to be Peyton Bowen, 2023 5-star. He kind of put a self-deadline. I think he did an interview with a Texas A&M, maybe Texas or Tex Ags or something like that, the website, talking about that he was going to announce his commitment or intentions, whether it's, staying with Notre Dame or committing to Oklahoma or A&M before his first home game or first high school game. And as we're recording this, he's playing. Denton Guyer is playing right now, and there's been no post. There's been no indication that he's made a decision. I just wouldn't. The longer this goes, it's just there's more back and forth. I know Thune is adamant that he believes that Bowen will flip at the end of the day, but there's something that's holding him back. And I know I've never been in his position. I'm sure it's really hard. And, there's a lot of things to evaluate between your family and friends and your best chance to compete and be developed and everything else that goes into it. And he's having a hard time. But at the end of the day, if you're committed to Notre Dame and you've visited other schools regularly, there's something that you're not totally sold on Notre Dame. And I'm not saying that Oklahoma is the landing destination, because it could very well be A&M. It just seems like that there's some sort of hesitation with Notre Dame. And I tell you what, if Notre Dame and A&M struggle at all this fall and Oklahoma comes out and rolls, I think that all but shores up. Part of me still thinks, I think I've said this before, I think he's wanting to see what this defense and what this defensive back room is going to look like at Oklahoma and the coaching that Brandon Hall is doing. I think he's somewhat hesitant on Oklahoma because he wants to see it on the field. Brandon, what do you think?
I mean, I agree, I guess, and maybe with A&M too. And I mean, I don't know if he's really sold anywhere, but I mean, the longer and longer this goes, the more Austin Nova said it feels like. I feel like eventually, with just him dragging this on so much, we're going to see him recommit to Notre Dame eventually without ever decommitting. It kind of feels that way to me. I would love for Oklahoma to land him. You talk about you want to build a top 3 class, getting another composite 5-star in there. That's going to push you that way heavily, and it's going to drop Notre Dame a lot too. So maybe Jackson Arnold will go out there tonight and throw 600 yards and 8 touchdowns and just make it to where he has no choice but to follow him and play with him. I don't know. We'd love to land Peyton Bowen, but I mean, I don't know if anybody really truly has any idea what the hell he's going to do with the way this process has been going and just dragged on for so long. And also, like, I don't know how much more Oklahoma or A&M could possibly sell this kid. Like, he's been to you know, unless he is waiting to see the product on the field, like, he's been to both campuses so many times that I don't know what more recruiting pitches you can possibly have to get him to flip. Like, I feel like you've put all the, you know, you put all the cards on the table. I don't know what more you can do if you're OU or A&M. And I think it's just, who knows what's going to happen here.
And we talk about OU and A&M a lot when we discuss him because he is expected to flip. But imagine how Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame defensive staff are viewing this situation. Like, they're also being strung along. But if it is a guy that's going to flip, that's potentially a spot that they could be filling in and recruiting for. Now, they did get Ben Minich like a couple weeks ago now, but is he to the same caliber player that Peyton Bowen is projected to be? Not even close, right? So this entire situation, while I understand, and we've said it before, it's not an easy situation for Peyton Bowen. At some point, there is, you know, you have to make it that decision and just stick with it. If it's Notre Dame, fine. If it's Oklahoma, awesome. If it's A&M, that sucks. Probably going to be average. He'll be individually great, but the team is going to be average as usual. I mean, this entire thing is going to be dragging. It seems like for a while. I mean, he could surprise the world, and when coach takes time out, he pulls out his phone or something and tweets out a picture with Oklahoma gloves or A&M gloves and just says, "Here's where I'm going." Seems unlikely. That'd probably be irresponsible of him. But who knows? And we'll see. Maybe him and Jackson have some bet on the line for game one. Hey, if you throw 5 touchdowns today, automatically Oklahoma. If you throw 4, though, I mean, it could be A&M.
Speaking of that game, I was looking up to see what's going on, and I just watched a highlight. 36 seconds into the game, Jackson Arnold threw a 60-yard touchdown on a rope, and it was just ridiculous.
QB1, baby.
He's QB1 day one. If Dylan Gabriel's gone, I'm going to stick by it.
I said that too. I'm with you on that.
So few freshmen actually get there.
Maybe he's just that guy, though, Hose.
When's the last time a freshman was actually successful?
Caleb Williams.
What does that matter?
He was 3-2. Was he not?
You don't think Caleb Williams?
He's a good player, but like
you're saying that Caleb Williams was.
But we're saying that Jackson Arnold can't be that guy because it hasn't been done in so long. None of that matters.
No, I'm just saying, like that pressure you're putting on that, or the expectation, it seems too high. Not that he can't, but
I mean, he said it himself. He wants to compete day one if Dylan Gabriel.
What's he gonna say? No, I'm just gonna sit back and watch.
He didn't. He said he didn't plan on. He didn't think he would be competing if Dylan Gabriel's still there. So he did say he would just sit back and watch Dylan Gabriel.
Oh yeah, he's not gonna sit back and watch.
I'm going to credit Caleb Williams the win against Texas, even though he didn't start. With that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He went 6-2. He's as much as we might not like Caleb Williams, he threw for 20.
Caleb Williams sucks.
I understand that he is a good player, but he still struggled as a quarterback, and listening to people that actually know the game of football, they recognize too. He struggled against reading defenses. That's not something.
If Jackson Arnold could read his zone, he's already got the leg up there.
Well, I would also argue that maybe his coach was already checked out.
So was he
wrong? He didn't know. He scored 27 touchdowns. That's not bad.
All I'm saying is that as a freshman, he did have struggles. And it doesn't matter if his coach was checked out because he was the one making the plays on the field. His coach cannot read the defense for him when they're in the middle of action.
Yeah, he struggled, but he was still better than Spencer Rattler.
Was he, though?
No Spencer Rattler hate on this show. We're a pro-go Spencer Rattler show.
No, I like Spencer Rattler. But I'm just saying that Caleb was better down the stretch.
I'm going to throw the challenge flag on that.
Let's move on.
Anyway, we kind of went off on a tangent, but there's a rumor going around that some Texas account, Doc Allen or whatever, why
You follow Doc Allen, why? Unfollow, block.
Yeah, he states, and he said Hamilton, which I assume is Gary Hamilton from On3, says that there is a Houston area high school player that's currently committed elsewhere that wants to attend the Alabama-Texas game coming up. And that led to people speculating who that Houston area player could be. People thought maybe Jaquez Petaway. And I'm going to stop right here. I don't think people realize how big the Houston area is and how many high school kids there are that are top-notch level commits elsewhere. Jaquez Petaway, he's not going to go visit Texas. It doesn't seem like that there's any indication. He still has all his tweets up. He still has everything. There's been no indication of that he would go visit Texas. And why would he at the end of the day when they, I just don't buy this whole rumor. And if you're believing that Doc Allen guy on Texas and taking it for granted, just don't even acknowledge him. That's all I gotta say.
This could be a 20-second topic, I think, in my opinion, at least. Like, forget about Doc Allen or anybody else who's tweeting. Just look at the man himself. Jaquez Petaway literally tweeted, "I'm not going anywhere." That tweet is still up. As long as that tweet stands, I think we need to not worry. Let's just look directly at the source, and the source is saying he's staying. So forget about Doc Allen and anything else on a rival's message board.
I'm pretty sure Doc Allen was the one that was trying to put all the blame on Drake Stoops when all the Cale Gundy stuff was going on. He's the one that gave the very reliable tweet to Deadspin for their article calling Drake and Cale racists for the situation. Like, I mean, that in itself should just show how little this guy actually knows about what's happening. Look, like Brom said, it's not like Houston is made up of one football player. They've got plenty of them that are committed elsewhere. So, it could be someone else. And two, like Brandon said, Jaquez said he's sticking around. If he was going to take a visit anywhere, we would have probably already seen him decommitting from Oklahoma. We saw it with Ashton Kozart. He took the visit, and we all pretty much at the moment that we heard that he was taking a visit, we all assumed that his offer was either pulled or coach told him that he needed to decommit to do it, and he flipped immediately because the assumption was that coach said once you've made that visit, we assume that you're no longer committed to Oklahoma, and they moved elsewhere. Unless we start seeing Oklahoma start going after, like, I don't know, Jalen Hale. That's a wide receiver that's still out there that's uncommitted that we haven't really put a lot of there. That doesn't seem to be a lot of traction for Oklahoma right now. Harrison Pilot trying to go after Micah Teese like hard and like super hard, not just at the level they are right now. I wouldn't expect Petaway to be that Houston area player that's interested in visiting the Alabama-Texas game.
Yeah. So if anything that you learn from this topic is Doc Allen likes to just stir the pot.
We could start a rumor here today, boys. I heard Arch Manning is interested in visiting Oklahoma during the
Kent State game. Instead of going to Alabama, Texas, he'll be at OU Kent State.
That's actually, I think that sounds right.
That sounds right. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Arch Manning visiting the Oklahoma Kent State game, because that is going to be quite the matchup of powerhouses in college football, the matchup of blue bloods.
It's going to be Oklahoma's going to absolutely destroy Kent State. Alabama's going to absolutely destroy Texas. You might as well go to the better school, the one that's actually going to win.
Yeah, I mean, Kent State equals Texas.
Seems fair. I wonder when's
fair.
Does Kansas and Kent State played recently?
I bet you Kent State would get smacked I bet you Kent State would smack Kansas.
Or at least give them a game.
And Kansas smacks Texas.
Therefore,
the transitive property, Kent State greater than Texas.
Yes, you heard it here first. Kent State is greater than Texas, and Arch Manning is going to visit the Battle of the Blue Bloods, OU Kent State. We'll see. Doc Allen, I'm sure he's going to see this and he's going to take it. He's going to take it and run. He's going to believe it. Anyway,
he's gonna say these OU analysts are wrong. That's not actually happening.
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
That is not going to happen. Moving on, OU is moving forward with some stadium renovations. It seems like Oklahoma is in the process of upgrading their football facilities that match similar to Alabama and Clemson, if not exceed it. Kind of what Thad Turnipseed ended up doing at both programs, kind of transforming the programs. And it's a large sum of money. I don't know, 150, 200 million bucks. OU's looking for architects to do it. And I'm sure that they'll probably announce it, I'm guessing middle to end of the season. I bet they'll announce the facilities before the early national signing day, because you want to be like, if you're trying to on the fence with someone, is Peyton Bowen still floating out there, sees these plans when they're going to get built, and also get that momentum rolling for 2024 and lock in your 23 class. So I'd imagine before the end of the season, we'll see what the plans are. It seems like OU is trying to match and exceed what Alabama has, and to compete at the highest level in the SEC. And that's what we expect, and that's probably what Venables had as far as one of his requirements before he took the job. If he's going to take the job, he wants to build the best program. And in order to build the best program, you have to do this. So, Jose, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's the impact of bringing in that, with Brent Venables. I think we might have talked about it a couple of times whenever this entire staff was first brought together. That is just as impactful, if not more impactful, than some of the assistant coaches on staff. Not that they're not, obviously they're very impactful to what's being put out on the field, but that is going to not just turn the football program and the football facilities around to be competing with everyone in the SEC, but he's going to make sure that the rest of the sports are being, I guess, awarded for their accomplishments. The softball stadium was going to happen regardless, but I could see them getting an upgrade or a little bit extra stuff once, over the next few years, just because they've probably been the most successful. I think they have been the most successful team at Oklahoma in the last 5 to 10 years. And I'm sure other teams will get to reap the benefits of that, being in charge of, heading this turnaround, or the transition, I guess, not turnaround, to the SEC.
I agree. Thad Turnipseed is really an unsung hero in this transformation from Lincoln Riley's soft grab ass hula hoop gymnastics, grab your ass football program to this powerhouse that we're on the verge of building and competing with SEC teams. We credit guys like Brent Venables, obviously, Todd Bates, Jay Valai, because we see their work on the recruiting trail. We see them bring in these elite level players and build a top 5 class in year one. But that Turnipseed is putting together a program that, as you mentioned, Rem, is going to rival, if not exceed, that of Alabama or Clemson. And that's a huge step in landing kids. Is they want to play with the best. They want to have the best everything, and it's awesome news. I can't wait to see, because the facility right now is pretty damn cool. It's going to be really cool to see what an extra $150-200 million can put into this, and it's going to be state of the art. I think we'll be hard pressed to find a better facility once it's all said and done.
Yeah, and part of me also thinks that this is kind of somewhat of an incentive to stay in the Big 12 and through fulfill the contract. I'm not saying it's going to be built. Just thinking about it logically, once the architect's selected, they'll probably take 8 to 12 months to design it. And then it'll probably take a year or two, probably 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years to build. So, if it could be finishing by the time you enter into the SEC for football, it'd be great timing, and not be having the construction going and doing everything else. So I think it would, not saying that it would be the end of the world, but it'd be really cool to have a brand new facility, make the transition into the SEC. You've already been recruiting SEC level classes, and then all these kids get to use these state of the art facilities as you enter in the SEC. I think that'd be a cool timeline. Not saying that's going to happen, but it would just be, the timing kind of would make sense considering it's still, less than 3 years away now, to 2.5 to 3 years. They could get something built, designed and built that quick. So something to watch. And then, as Jose alluded to, and we talked about earlier, Loves Field, that's going to be for the softball stadium just north of the Lloyd Noble Center, north of Inhofe. They are building the new softball stadium. They have scheduled these groundbreaking ceremony on September 23rd, so less than a month away. I know we don't talk a ton of softball on here, but Jose is right. This has been the most successful Oklahoma sports program over the last 10 years. And while Oklahoma football has been good, but they haven't been winning national championships like the softball team has, the ladies deserve it. And I think it's going to take Oklahoma. It's already at the top of the top of the sport, but this is just going to solidify that Patty Gasso can recruit anyone that she wants, no matter where they're from. And they're going to get the best coach. They're going to get the best facilities, and the best fans, one of the best softball fan bases out there. I think you're going to just become the Alabama of softball, and they already are that. It's just going to be the cherry on top. Brandon, you have any thoughts?
I mean, I agree. They deserve everything. You mentioned the most dominant team in OU the last 10 years. I mean, I would argue they're right up there with Alabama football in just terms of overall dominance in a team sport collegiately in the last 10 years. If not more successful. I mean, they're right up there. Their resume the last 10 years or so is right up there with anybody in college sports. So it's hard to, I mean, they deserve whatever's coming their way. I'm excited for them to have that new stadium, the new, whatever. It's going to help Patty Gasso even more. They're going to keep just winning. I think as long as Patty's there's really just there's no signs of even slowing down a little bit. I think they're just going to be chasing natties for the next 10 years.
Talking about the the money that's being put into facilities, I kind of hope that Oklahoma at some point in maybe the next 10, 15 years adds to the second layer, to the upper deck, just to boost the capacity. Because what are we at? Like just slightly over 80,000 in max capacity.
85, give or take. Can't remember what, but still, it's
85 sounds right.
Because the SEC, like I think their closest Oklahoma would be between South Carolina and Auburn in regards to max capacity. And I feel like once we are in the SEC, like having an extra 8,000 people in that stadium is going to help, having, with true home field advantage. Because when we visit a place, like Georgia or like
Rocky Top,
102,000. I'm going through even Kyle Field. Kyle Field is the biggest one according to this article. They're at a little over 102,000 max capacity. So like that is like to me that's true home field advantage. Once you move into the SEC, it's very hard to compete when you have, let's just say, like there's 10,000 Oklahoma fans, which is probably a big number, but in an opposing stadium, it's at 90,000 people rooting against you. I mean, it'd be nice to do that when someone comes to Norman.
Yeah, I looked it up. 86,112 people, according to Google, is the max capacity for Gaylord. And hopefully they also upgrade the press boxes like they were originally supposed to do. And they upgrade the press boxes and then they add more seats. Because I do agree that north end zone would be really nice to have a second layer on it and bring the capacity up to 95 to 100,000. Because if OU wins like they should and builds the program like they should, that stadium's going to be full every single Saturday that there's a game.
But it was Lincoln Riley's fault that there's not updated press boxes and already a second layer to that stadium.
I think everything is Lincoln Riley's fault. I really do. Well, that's not just being sarcastic. I think the guy sucked. He sucked. If he was good, we would have been better, but he sucked.
But anyway, and another program I hope that gets a new stadium, it's been long talked about, is I hope the basketball program gets something done.
Well, the Lloyd Noble it's like that, and you know the baseball team needs a new facility now too. Although that's in the works. Never mind. That's that's definitely coming. But yeah, we need the men and women's basketball team definitely need something. How about wrestling? McCaslin Fieldhouse, guys, is not the place that we want to compete to win national titles.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. At the end of the day, this SEC revenue that Oklahoma's going to be generating once they enter, it's going to be next level. It's going to be totally different than what the Big 12 is. They're going to have more money. I would imagine not only is football going to get the upgrades, they're going to have to start upgrading the wrestling program. They're going to have to start funneling more money elsewhere. Granted, most of the money
Get some wrestling dubs again. Let's bring Oklahoma wrestling back. Let's make Oklahoma wrestling great again. I can get behind that.
Yeah, maybe so. You never know, especially if they start winning more now, and they're going to get the money funneled to them quickly if they start winning.
Yeah. They do need a new ring in the practice facility. I've heard they don't have enough practice rings for their performances.
Mats. They're called mats.
that's amateur wrestling.
The ring is WWE, bud. We're not WWE.
Yeah. So. Anyway, yeah, a little slow on content, but hopefully OU.
This was a lot more fun of an episode, I do have to say. I feel like, at least for those watching, because I mean, clearly not a lot of people are interested in Week 0 talk, but this one, I think, was a lot more fun, and I don't blame them. Week 0 talk is kind of boring.
I mean, it's rough. I mean, some of those games. I mean, you got to love college football, and you got to love football in general, which I know we all do, and I will be watching a lot of those games. But you got to love football. To be watching some of those things, but
big football guys.
So anyway, you guys have any final thoughts before Brandon does his individual challenge for the people?
No. So this is a 2-part. So I feel like most of our followers have Twitter or our viewers, and I feel like, and I know you guys have Twitter. So you guys have been following the college football on Fox poll thing or whatever, where they're trying to do the best fan base. Teams are rivaling up against Oklahoma. Like other schools are, because we went neck and neck with Texas Tech in the Elite Eight or whatever it was. I can't remember who we played in the Elite Eight or was paired with in the Elite Eight, and Baylor. And then they won it in the golden hour. Last I checked it, we're losing like 51-49 to West Virginia. But if you look at the thread, well, it'll be like Kansas Nation's rocking with you, West Virginia. Iowa State's with you, West Virginia. So like they're all just hopping on here to try to beat us. So I need you guys to cast your vote for Oklahoma, because it's actually pissing me off. I want to win this for some reason. I want to be upset if we don't, because I really genuinely feel like we're the best college football fan base that exists. So you got to comment that you have voted on the college football on Fox poll for OU over West Virginia. And the second thing is, we talked a bunch of OU sports tonight: baseball, softball, wrestling, whatever. What's your second favorite OU sport? So it's a 2-part individual challenge. That's it.
All right. Do that. Be sure to not only do those 2 things, but follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our channel on here. Turn the notification bell on and say that you've done all that, and do the individual challenge. You can be entered in to win some free tickets for the first home game. That'll be announced on Wednesday's episode of next week. Give you guys some time, the winner, some time to arrange travel, needs. And that way we can get the tickets to them. And if you made it this far, in general, just like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers. Almost there. Just help us out. And if you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, be sure to leave us a review on there and follow the channel as well. We will catch you guys Monday. Hopefully there could be 2 new commits later today.